here we go.
Hi, everybody. So thanks for joining us on a Friday. I just have a few things timeline-wise to say about Brightspace. So you may have been hearing that we are changing over from Blackboard to Brightspace. We are in SUNY's cohort 3, which means we won't be going as an early adopter. We're going to let all the other SUNY schools, about half of them on in SUNY Online's network, will be going in cohort 1. So that means they will work out a lot of the details. You know, there's a lot of bumps happening right now from what I can tell. They don't have their learning object repository ready yet and that kind of thing. So it's good that we are going in cohort 3, in my opinion. This was really a faculty decision. You know, we worked with the faculty senate on this, and the feedback was that during the pandemic, everyone got pretty comfortable with Blackboard, and why make everyone switch suddenly now when everybody's made such great progress in the LMS and remote teaching. So I think that that's pretty good. So we're going to, if you were looking for a full date for the full cutover, that is May 23rd. So that is the first day of summer session. And from that day on, there will be no Blackboard available to faculty. So May 23rd next year. is that clear? I saw some concerned faces, I think. So May 23rd of 2023. If you are interested in being in the pilot, we would certainly welcome you. I don't know what kind of a line or we're going to, you know, in terms of a wait list, if there's going to be a lot of people rushing to be in the pilot will go for spring 2023. And I believe the first date of spring might be January 23rd, somewhere around there. So that would kick off the pilot semester. And I think I'm hoping that anyone who is in the pilot teaches all their courses that semester in Brightspace. So, you know, I don't know if there's a reason why you'd want to teach some courses in Blackboard and a few courses in Brightspace, but I think just in terms of getting the numbers up for the pilot and having a consistent experience, it would be nice if the people in the pilot could teach all their courses, but that's up for discussion. We're still figuring that out. So then working backwards from there, next fall, 22, will be a big training semester where we'll hopefully be running a ton of workshops. I hope to have an asynchronous workshop in Blackboard as well that faculty can just use at their convenience rather than attend a face-to-face or a synchronous session and training. But we still have to work all that out too. I hear that SUNY will be doing quite a few training sessions. It may be that I bring Rob from SUNY down to do a whole day or a few days. So we're going to work on that soon. Hopefully we'll have some more details on that by the end of this semester. And you will have your content transported. We're figuring out how many semesters, but it's very likely going to be 3 years of content. Don't quote me for sure or hold me to that because we're still, of course, working on that with SUNY. But last time around when we went from Angel to Blackboard, we did bring 3 full years of content over to the new LMS. And for consistency and in case faculty want to go back to their old courses, it may make sense to do that. The one caveat to that is any courses we bring over into Brightspace will not have student data. It will have just your data, all your content. So we are looking at 2 archiving systems right now. I'm attending 2 tours of archiving. One is offered by Blackboard and one is offered by Brightspace. And we're going to look at those and see if we can pay extra to back up student data, because I believe the process at FIT is that students have 3 years to challenge a grade, and so faculty would need to produce student data in order to respond to that challenge. What's unclear is in Brightspace, if we don't have the archiving, if we just bring in the classes, will administrators have any access to student data? And if that's the case, then maybe we can go without the archiving because the administrators will still be able to get the student data. So you can see there's a lot. I'm probably getting too much into the details now, but you can see there's a lot to work out. And I have plenty of details on for another time, probably on, systems that SUNY is researching to bring in so that we can have more, for example, they're getting some pricing from Turnitin rather than Safe Assign. SUNY is probably going to have a contract with Turnitin, and then we'll have to make a decision about, do we want to bring in Turnitin? You will definitely have access to Blackboard Ally. That is the accessibility product, and that will be carried over into Brightspace. Even though it's a Blackboard product, we still need it for ADA compliance and accessibility. That will definitely come over. SUNY's negotiating pricing on that right now. So that's just the basics right there. I don't want to bore you with too many details because so much is in flux right now, but hopefully that's a good overview in terms of timing. Please let me know if you have questions.
That's a chunk of work for sure.
That's true. Well, I'm glad you've been playing around with Brightspace. That's great.
Yeah. Well, the last time I dragged my feet when we went from Angel to Blackboard, and this time I'm saying no, let's dive in on the deep end.
And Patricia, don't you have experience with Brightspace at other
Yeah, I
schools?
do. I
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
But it wasn't taught in the lovely cohesive way that you guys do it.
Oh, okay.
So I'm very happy to go back to scratch and see what might be the best possible way of handling it and stuff like that. I hunted and found things, but I don't know, if that's the
Got it.
what's that
Well,
term, the best way of doing it,
yeah. Well, Jose is definitely the best at showing the best way to do it. So.
Yep.
Great thing. To piggyback on what Tammy said about archiving, I highly recommend that while we're still at Blackboard, archive your work. You can archive your own work. We do have a handout that if you need it, just let me know. I can email that handout on how to archive your course. Because I was able, the first thing I did when we were given access to the Brightspace Sandbox was archive my Blackboard course and try to bring it over from Blackboard to Brightspace, and it was successful, uh, without any glitches. So I highly recommend to archive your course. I know Antonia sends a lot of tips on archiving your course, so that would be a good idea, so that you have your materials, all the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into your course, have that as a
Yeah.
backup somewhere. Okay, so let's start. I have slides, but I'm gonna put the link to the slides on the chat. Feel free to take a look and use these slides. Most of them are just going to be resources to Brightspace YouTube channel or Brightspace website. And so again, just feel free to go in there and use them or follow along. But most importantly, if you feel confident and if you already have registered for the sandbox, you can follow along through the sandbox on Brightspace if you feel comfortable doing that. Um, so in there, on my slides, I do have the link to that sandbox. So I highly recommend that you all go in there, get your feet wet, play around with Brightspace. The other big issue is making sure you register. I know I ran the workshop this Tuesday, and there was a few people who couldn't register and log in. If you are having issues, just email me and I'll uh, help you get yourself registered so that you can go ahead and play in the sandbox. So let me go ahead and share my screen so that I can show the slides. Okay, I see that you're all joining. That's great. That's my email, by the way, if you need to reach out to me I have a number 1 at the end, so just in case. There's another Jose Diaz out there, so make sure there's a 1. So real quick, the workshops we're doing this week is just very basic introduction. Today, I'm just really trying to really focus on navigation, getting yourself around and familiar with the Brightspace layout. And then next week, we're gonna do more of building content, like how to add a PDF, how to create a discussion, and those kind of things. Today, since it's only 1 hour, I'm really just gonna try to get you all to focus on familiarizing yourself with the layout and how to navigate in Brightspace. So we have one Tuesday, April 5th, from 1 to 2, and then Friday, April the 8th, from 1 to 2. You can simply click on Add to Calendar, and the event will be added to your Google Calendar. And thanks, Patricia, she asked me for that feature, and we put it in there. So now it's easier for you to get a reminder from your Google Calendar if you just click here. And also the link to the room will be inside your Google Calendar. And over here, this is our Office of Online Learning website. And if you click on this link, it will take you to those workshops. So you can visit us there as well. Oh, this is what Tammy covered. So yeah, so these are some of the dates that Tammy already mentioned, so I don't have to I don't have to repeat that. I do want to mention that D2L, or Desire to Learn, is the name of the company. Brightspace is the name of the learning management system. So just as we would use Blackboard to identify the LMS, Brightspace is what we're going to refer to as the learning management system, and D2L, or Desire to Learn, is the name of the company. They are based in Canada, and they've been around for over 20 years. If you want to learn more about D2L, you can visit their website at www.d2l.com. And just a real quick note, I just want to mention that we've done a lot of training since the remote. I just want to say that this is a continuation. We're not starting from scratch. I feel that a lot of the things I'm going to show you today are very similar in the Blackboard environment, and I'm going to identify those things. I'm going to identify the similarities and also the differences. So don't see this as that we're starting from scratch. I see this as we're building upon everything that we've learned so far through all these trainings. So I just want to make you feel comfortable that, I know there's some anxiety, but this is all based on a lot of the things that we already learned through the trainings as we came from remote training to where we are now. These are just some links, like I mentioned before. This is a link to Brightspace Documentation. So I just put everything for you in one place, so that if you're interested in learning more and diving deeper into Brightspace, this is a one slide where you can go and just have all these resources at your fingertips. And this is the sandbox, right? This is the link to the sandbox. So if you are in my slides right now, if you click on this link, the sandbox page will open up. And then if you haven't registered, you have to register using your FIT email address. And again, if you don't want to do it now, you can do it later. You don't have to do it now, but if you run into any problems, just email me. I'll be happy to help you with logging in to Brightspace, the sandbox in Brightspace. Now, keep in mind, this is temporary. This is not our instance, meaning our official Brightspace FIT page. This is a temporary sandbox that I encourage you to take advantage and get your feet wet, and feel free to go in there, break things, don't be afraid to, delete the grade book. This is a sandbox. Don't be afraid to try out and play around with it. Also, keep in mind that the information stored in this sandbox will not carry over once we have our FIT instance. This is just for you to play with. Okay. Oh, by the way, I also created a little cheat sheet for you all. I titled it Brightspace Taxonomy. If you go into my slides, if you click on this Brightspace Taxonomy, It's going to give you a lot of the terms that we're going to cover in today's workshop. And I also included images so that you can associate the terms to the images to make it easier for you to familiarize yourself with the new layout and the new navigation system in Brightspace. Okay, so with that, I'm going to get off my slide.
Jose, Lauren wants you to send this document to all the attendees today.
Oh, thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Lauren, for the question. Let me post the link one more time on the chat. But yes, I will email this document today after the workshop, so that. And also, you know what? I'm going to add everybody as collaborators, as viewers to this document. So I will do that today. Let me just post the link one more time in the chat, so just in case, if someone missed it. Thank you, Lauren. So that will take you into the. Oh, yeah, that's a good point, Todd. You can also download it, and also you can make it your own by clicking File, make a copy of entire presentation. And now you're the owner of it if you wish to own the slide deck. All right, real quick, because already 1:20. Okay, so let's move a little quick. So here we go. Once you've registered, and if you logged in to Brightspace, to the Brightspace Sandbox that we have, this is the home page. And this is how it's going to look. Now, keep in mind, what you're seeing here might not be exactly what we get once we get our instance of Brightspace. A lot of this can be changed. So just keep that in mind, that what we're showing you today, take it with a grain of salt. It might change based on how we decide to move things here, or decide, how the layout will look. So we have a lot of control once we get our own instance. So I just want to let you know that. This is the home page. Just like Blackboard, you can customize the home page. All right. At the top, this is what's called the minibar. And the minibar will always be present. All right. Doesn't matter where you are. This minibar area from here to here will always be present. Now, this will change as you go into your course, and I'll show you in a second. But what I want to focus on is right here, the minibar. All right, this is the home button, just the same as in Blackboard. You can click on the home button, and it will take you back to your home page. And then here you have what's called the course selector. We didn't have something like this in Blackboard. You actually had to click, and it will be a drop-down menu. But the course selector looks very similar to in Gmail, where you have those 9 little dots. And it looks very similar, but when you click on the course selector, then you have all your courses that you can easily switch to any course that way. You can also see all your courses are pinned to the home page at the bottom. The second icon I want to show you is the message alerts. And if you click on the message alerts, you can see that you can check to see if you got instant messages from your students or emails. So this is where you would go to get updates and notifications on instant messages or emails. And I think, is there a question?
Todd says you can download it because he just did.
Yeah, so sorry, Jose, 3 quick questions.
Sure.
First is this homepage and this whole look of the Brightspace, is it going to be branded at all to feel like FIT, or is this the way it's going to look?
No. So this is something that's going to change. Since this is a sandbox, this is like looking very generic. It's not going to be branded. But when we do get our instance, it will definitely look different. It will definitely have an FIT logo, and we will have more of a control as to how it will look. Since this is just a sandbox.
If I can just
right,
add to that, exactly. It will be FIT branded. We will have our own look and feel. This is part of what we're going to be working with faculty on throughout the fall semester. The Instructional Technology Committee is on board to be advisors, and hopefully anyone in the pilot will also be able to weigh in on the general look and feel. But it will, if you saw, I guess the best example is Blackboard right now. we have our own photo there on the home page. We have our own colors that we chose, and the nav, the left-hand nav, and that top navigation is all chosen by us. So they call it an instance at SUNY. That's our instance, and we will have an instance, an FIT instance of Brightspace as well.
Okay. All right. So my next two questions are, when you talk about doing work within a course, if I compare it to Blackboard, when you did the course dropdown, a silly example. Let's say you teach the same course, 3 sections of it. Are you able to cross navigate with multiple courses, or it is like Blackboard in the sense where everything has to be done individually per course? So for example, let's say you were posting an assignment or an announcement. In Brightspace, as you do this drop down, are you able to do it for all 3 at once, or do you have to still do it individually?
That's a good question, Todd. I don't have an answer for that yet. And again, like there's gonna be a lot of things that I don't have answers yet till we actually get in there.
Okay.
Well, one thing I can say about that is that learning object repository I was referring to, that's what SUNY's trying to get up and running now. But that is designed to be a place where much of your course content can live within Brightspace, and you can just provide links to that content. So if you change your syllabus, say you have one syllabus or one document, you change it there, and then you don't have to update all the links.
So it's almost like a pool. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, right. Or the way Google Drive works, just built into Brightspace. Yeah.
Right. And then my third question is, I never used the mail feature in Blackboard because you never had a copy with the student you sent it to as their name, because when you would get it in your Google box, using the mail and the instant message features that you just showed us, does this relate back to Google? Does it give you a record that I sent Jose an email if you were my student, where Blackboard doesn't do those things?
I can tell you it will be fully synced up with Gmail.
Okay.
There's an LTI integration and the email will sync there, but we don't have the full experience of using it just yet. Jose, do you have any more knowledge on that?
The little bit I know is that using it from here is kind of different. If you go here from the email, from the mail button to here, you kind of don't get your roster. You have to go back to course list and do the email from there. Let me show you. Which I don't know if that will change, Tammy, but if you go to class list, Todd, you'll notice that from class list, I can now control, do I want to send this to certain students or everyone, in the class, or email, do I add a person to that email, or do I just send to the instructors or the TAs or the students? So you kind of filter the recipients, whereas from here you don't get that full control. So I'm learning, we're learning little things as we're going forward, and the other thing that we learned, and this we covered in the first workshop, was that, which is a big feature. I know a lot of people love this feature in Blackboard, which is if you create an announcement in Blackboard, you can actually check off the box where the announcement also gets sent out an email together. Yeah. And I don't think that is in Brightspace, which is, the emails are separate from announcements in Brightspace. So that's something that one thing I've figured out so far that I do like in Blackboard, that you can actually create an announcement and check off the box so that it also gets sent as an email. In Brightspace, I haven't seen that yet.
I will tell you one of the downsides in Blackboard of this that I'm learning more and more through online teaching is that things, when you add links or anything within that announcement and it transfers to an email, the links don't work in the email for the students.
I see. That's always been a little glitchy.
I would expect that to work in Brightspace.
Yeah.
Especially with the full integration. We don't have an integration right now with Blackboard and Gmail.
Right. So I hope that answers your question, Todd. I'm gonna continue forward because there's a couple of more things I want to show. This one I really like. This is similar to Blackboard, which is subscription alerts. So in here you would basically get updates or notifications for let's say discussion threads, things like that, you will get notified here. And then you will see a little orange round, a little round orange circle here that will let you know that there are notifications waiting for you. And this icon here will updates in general. Let's say you've added a new material to Unit 1. Let's say you added a quiz. So here you'll also get a little orange circle alerting you or the student that something new, a new material has been added to the course. Over here, and if you're following along on the Sandbox, if you go to the personal bar or the personal menu, from here, you can actually update your profile. Oh, before I do that, let me just show you that. Remember in Blackboard, we had the evil eye. I think Jeffrey coined the term evil eye. So that the evil eye, if you clicked on it, you would see the course as a student. And this is what this is here. So if you go to your personal menu, if view as learner, and that will allow you to see your course as a student. So that's similar to Blackboard. Profile, this is, if you're following along on the Sandbox, this is a perfect opportunity to change your photo. Simply click on the box and you can change your picture or add a picture here. You can add a nickname if you don't want to be called by your first name. I know that was an issue with Blackboard, I think, Tammy, where students wanted to have a different name. You can type in whatever nickname. I like that. That's really nice. It also has a section for social networks. So if you want to put your Twitter account, let's say your Facebook or LinkedIn account, I already put mine in here. So if you follow me, I'll follow you. But here you can, put in more information. This could be your About You page, right? Here you can add personal information, tagline, hobbies, interests, favorite music, etc. So you can have fun filling this out. And when you're done, you can just click Save and Close. And that will complete your About You section. This one is very important over here. I want to really spend a little more time on notifications because this is important, right? Notification, you want to be alerted when things happen in your course. But also, there is an app for Brightspace. I don't recommend downloading the app yet because we don't have our instance, so you won't be able to log in since we don't have our instance yet. But keep an eye out, be alert, be aware that there is an app for Brightspace. It's called the Pulse app, and you can find it in iOS as well as Android. So here on the notifications, you can receive your notifications via email or via your phone, text messages, your mobile, right? So you will have to register your phone to be able to then choose SMS here on the right-hand side. Right now, I can't click on it because I haven't yet registered my phone. One thing I really like about Brightspace is that you can choose to receive notifications daily or weekly. We didn't have that choice in Blackboard. So it's nice if you want to receive only notifications daily, or if you choose to have it all come to you at the end of the week or something, weekly or something like that. But here you have a long list of items that you can choose to get notified, right? Activity feeds, assignments. I mean, it goes on where, the list is long here. You can choose, and then you can decide whether you want to receive it via text or email. And you can also exclude courses, right? So in case you're getting too many notifications and you're overwhelmed with too many notifications from different courses, you can exclude and manage which course to exclude those notifications. All right. Let me cover a few more things before we have Patricia show us her course. Then real quick, I just want to show you, going back to the homepage, we talked about how you can manage your homepage, the layout. And this is the layout of my homepage. Same way as in Blackboard, you can customize it, right? So I have two panels here, one on the left side and one on the right-hand side. Here are our announcements, and here are my courses that I'm teaching. But if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll notice that there is a, where did it go? Sorry, it's over here. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, oops, how come I don't see it? There is 3 buttons for you to manage.
Are you still in View as Learner?
That's the first thing I looked at, Stan. I was looking to see if you view as learner. But if I switch to view as learner, you'll see that if I go to student, to go back as a teacher, you have to click on this little X to go back. I thought that was a little different than Blackboard. I can't find the 3 dots right now. I'm not sure why, but let me cover one big difference between Blackboard and Brightspace. I think this is a game changer, which I think is a positive thing, which is some faculty would create buckets. Let's say all the assignments were in one folder, all the discussions were in one folder, all the quizzes were in one folder. You know, that was one way I had seen some faculty prefer doing things that way, as opposed to creating a learning sequence of activities for that week. So for example, I would have an icebreaker, then I would have read this PDF, then I have a quiz, and then I have a discussion. So everything was lined up. What I want to show you is that with Brightspace, as you develop your course, as you design and start creating your course, it will automatically group those items into these buckets for you, so that students have 2 options of seeing how your content, they can either go to the buckets, see all the assignments here, or they can go into the learning sequence. And let me show you how that will look like. And Patricia will also show you that in a second. I'm almost done, Patricia. So here's a sample course. This sample course is available to everyone on the temporary sandbox. So if you go here real quick, I just want to show you this feature. So this is a course that's already built out for 3 units. And this is what I was referring to, right? So if we go to Unit 1, and if you click on Unit 1, and you go to the first item, right? So this is the first item. We're teaching vocabulary. And, the student will move from left to right. And so you have these little arrows. And so to move to the next item, the student will click on the little arrow. All right, and here is the PDF. Then we have another PDF. Here's an image. So you see that this is a learning sequence for 1 week of content. Here's a video. But what I want to share with you all is that the student can actually go into these buckets at the top in the Minibar section. Remember, we talked about the Minibar. And so here, if you want to go to see all the assignments in one place, you can click on assignments. And now the students can actually, now depending if you have scheduled release dates for these items, right? If they're hidden from students, they won't be able to see certain items if you have hidden them or have scheduled release them for certain days. But what I do like is that as you're building and designing your course, Brightspace will group your items for you so that students now have 2 ways of seeing your course, right? Sequentially through the table of contents, but they can also go into one of these buckets, for example, like discussions, and then they can see the discussions that way too. Okay, any questions before? That's pretty much what I wanted to show everybody today with navigating around. I think I hear a question.
Yeah, I have a quick question, Jose, and it takes us back for just a split second. The notifications and creating the settings. If we do not have specifics to identify for the notifications, will we still receive all of them until we make those settings? Or how does it work if we don't necessarily want these as instant notifications?
Oh, you're saying if you don't fill out if you don't set up notifications and you leave it blank, will you receive notifications?
Yes, or if it automatically drops to that. what's the best way to establish it? Just go in and make those settings happen?
Yeah, I don't have an answer to that yet. My guess is that we probably have to set it up before you will start receiving notifications. That's my guess. But since we haven't gone live yet, again, that's something that is still too early. You know, a lot of things here we're, still too early for us to answer that type of question. But
So
my guess is,
I'm sorry,
yeah,
so
sorry, go ahead.
conceivably it'll end up being something that'll be potentially automatic until we do any kind of variations to it, is what we're trying to strive for.
That's my guess. My guess is that until you come in here and you change things, you probably, you'll probably either receive everything or you might not receive anything at all. Again, that's something I'm just having
And-
experience, right?
And
Yeah,
one other question was whether or not anything we do in the sandbox, did I understand earlier, it will not allow us to set up for transfer to our course, correct? It's just for play.
This is just for play, and this is why I highly recommend archiving your work on your, even though we are, like Tammy mentioned earlier, we are paying for a service to do this. I always archive my work because it's, again, it's all my hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. Again, it's always good to archive your own work just to have a backup of all your courses that you plan on migrating over to Brightspace.
And again, nothing here will migrate in the play, okay?
Correct. This is just for play. This is just going to be for us to get our feet wet with this new system. That's pretty much it. I wanted to keep it light. The next workshop that we're going to have, I'm really going to focus on creating, how to create the PDF, how to create an assignment Dropbox, discussions. But you have access to the sandbox. You all can go in and start without us. You can start playing. Simply go in there and start creating a folder structure, right? You can just go in, click content, and you can. Let me go back to my other course, and then Patricia, we're going to turn it over to you in a second. So here, for example, right, my empty course shell. That you all have access to an empty course shell. Now, if I'm not happy with this picture, simply click on the three dots, change the image, things like that. You can go ahead and start playing yourself, playing with the, creating an announcement. You can go in there, create an announcement. This is where I don't see the email button. That's something, Tammy, we got to figure out how come we can email the announcement as well. That would be nice to have. Things like that, as we're learning more, as we continue to learn more, we will definitely share all the information, and we learn from each other, and this is why these workshops are great. As long as we share what we learn with each other, we'll do a good job of migrating over to the new system.
Yeah, it is possible, I think, Jose, that when we do integrate with Gmail, it may give us the option to send announcements through email, but we just don't know yet.
Right. So again, like, we're learning as we're going, and as soon as we get our instance, I think we'll know more, right? Tammy will be more.
For sure. Yeah, we'll have the instance before anyone else, and that'll be a good indicator.
Yeah. But, this is why I wanted just to cover the basic things that we know for sure, like, navigations and the building of a course structure and things like that before, saying things that we have no clue as what we're saying. But we have somebody in the here, Patricia, who has experience with Brightspace at a different institution, and she was happy to share her course with us today. Patricia, do you want to go ahead and share your screen so that you can all hear from an actual professor who uses Brightspace, not someone like me. I'm not a teacher, and I'm not I never used it before. So Patricia will be the perfect person so we can look at a course that she has already taught at a different school. So Patricia, let me.
Is it up there now? Can you see it?
Yes, there you go. Everybody can see Patricia, right?
All
there
right.
we go.
So first of all, this instance was done with another school, and as you can see, they have subtly different little, and Jose was calling it buckets up here. I kind of call it buckets down here. This was a course that was done, it was created during COVID, and it was to transfer a face-to-face course to remote. In my other course, that's a totally asynchronous course, then I do the units. But this one was just done with what I had and was using face to face. So these are the buckets that I used. And Jose was talking about how you go and change the banner. Well, you can change the image, and you can change it. They have a wonderful in-depth kind of stock items, but you can also go to upload, and I uploaded something that I had, and so that seemed to be the nicest. You had to be careful about using things that are not too. As you can see, it's more wide than it is deep, so that your images have to kind of be tailored to that. But of course, I changed it to public speaking, and once we get to migrate to FIT, then I will change it to the exact course. Although I think that will be done for us as the course migrates. This was migrated from Blackboard to D2L or Brightspace, and so anyhow, so it does do them in. This is a visual table of contents that shows them more visually, and I think that's really helpful for we at FIT and our students who are that much more visual and like to see things. I think more graphically. And I love to do all of these kinds of, so it's the first one here would be to welcome them. And so I have in there, if you go into it, I have the basics. I have a just a simple little letter about what I expect from them overall. And then the second thing that I have is a letter that I sent out. So, and then here is where I put my about your professor. And Jose was talking about doing under notifications. You can also, once we, let me get out of this one, you could also go down to the bottom here, and you will find that it has a teacher profile there. So I just put my picture and I said, see information under the welcome link. I don't know, once we migrate, maybe I'll put it down there. I'm not sure. Although my early training with any of these online LMSs is that having it in more than one place is good technique. So I'm doing it linearly. So here's the syllabus, and I asked them to do I have a rules of the game, and again, I love to have my little emoticons. And so what I did was put this under that they had to read the rules of the game, and then it says quiz, but all it was asking them to do, have you read it, and will you honor our deal together? So going back. So it's very easy to really navigate each one of them. I changed each individual. When you get it, it'll be very homogenized, I guess, and everything will have one basic background, hills and mountains or whatever the heck. And I'm saying, well, what does that have to do with my course? It doesn't. So so each one of these is something graphic that states what's inside there. I'm sorry, Nick, do we know how a project drop? I'm sorry? Do you know how? Let me just go on, and then maybe Nick will ask me the question verbally. Okay, so each one of them states what it has inside. And again, yeah, being careful that you find something that's longer than it is wider. I had to really work with several of the pieces of the things that I transferred. The announcements, as you've been seeing, is always on there. You can change those or figure out where you want to go, and you see all your announcements for the whole course. And to create a new announcement, click on it. And so in this regard, I think it's pretty close. And so the headline, I don't know, thank you for a lovely course. And to do that, they have this little graphic in the middle, which is very similar, I think, to like what even YouTube transfers over. So for this, once I go to my computer, so in this regard, I think it's pretty close. So if I can find my cute little, I told you I like the, here she is. So this is a GIF, and
Yeah, I think it's at the bottom. Yeah, a little bit about.
Yeah, I can't get to it because I have two screens, and I have this on the other screen, and so it needs to be. Okay, it's not letting me do that. Okay, I just uploaded it on my other screen because it's larger. And so now all you have to do is just save it. And you can link. So it's just his last email. And or if you just want to make it decorative and you don't want to even put any of that material in, you can do that. Darn. Okay. This is just my computer not going on the right one. Okay. Okay, then it will just tell you insert, and once you've inserted it, and then publish is the way they say it instead of just smart. Okay, so then you can always go back to your course home, and there it is. But I don't think that's much different, but that's a feature I thought that was kind of nice. And each piece I have VoiceThread. VoiceThread is transferable. These are videos that I don't let them see as much. I in the remote course, I wanted to be able to just to show these. I think I opened several of them, but not all of them. And here is the assignment drop boxes, and then here's the written final. Here are samples of students' work in written materials, but mostly the oral assignments, so they can see other people's, how it was well done, and what's the criteria for what each of the assignments will be. So overall, that's that style of course is, I guess you would say, it's the bucket style of course. I have only the unit style or module style on Blackboard. So I will be transferring the Blackboard unit style once we migrate over to Brightspace. Anything else we discussed that I should be showing?
I think also what's nice about the visual table of contents, Patricia, is how it's scaffolded, right? You kind of get a sense of that these are individual units, right? This could be, for example, your welcome, then unit 1, or week 1, week 2, week 3, accompanied with an image. And again, like we always talked about chunking your material, this is how it will look, right? If from a student's perspective, the visual table of contents.
I didn't put it under students, so let's do that. And it's really no different in this regard. Although don't forget that you can't change anything when you're in student mode, the same as Blackboard. And then you have to remember to go up and change it again.
Yeah. This is great. Nick had a question. He says, do we know how a project Dropbox works in Brightspace? Are all file types supported? That is something, Nick, that we only have like 9 minutes left, but I will stay behind to demonstrate a little bit more advanced things like that. We wanted to keep this 1 hour very basic. Again, as we know, many of these things or these items, like Tammy mentioned, will look different But if you stay for a little longer, Nick, I'll be happy. Or maybe Patricia can show. Maybe Patricia can show one of her Dropbox assignments, if that's okay.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, I
Although
think, sorry, that was great, Patricia. I just do want to add that, and maybe in the next one you'll cover this, the annotation and grading capabilities that I've seen have been really wonderful. You know, instant video feedback that you can give to your students, being able to pop out the assignment into a separate window so you can grade, you know, sticky notes, being able to annotate with drawing tools. I don't know what your experience has been, Patricia, but I'm hoping it's positive because I've heard a lot of great things.
Well, you know, I used Blackboard for several decades, so it's like an old friend. You don't want to give up your old friend either, as you get a new one. But yeah, but the idea of it being more graphic, more visual, all round, I think is very helpful for our particular students. Yeah.
I think Todd has a question.
Yeah, I'm curious about the visual, and this might be my School of B&T head when I say this. And you know, I Blackboard's not completely my old friend, so I'm good. I'm good with the change. I'm excited about it. But as I look at it, it does visually feel like for some it will be great. But does it become ever confusing with all the visual sort of noise going on, or is that? I mean,
you can change this. They call these widgets, so you can change them to collapse them, and have it just the same way that Blackboard does.
Oh, okay, good, okay.
Okay.
See,
so
as a B&T person, I feel better already.
Oh. The other thing too, Patricia, maybe you can show this real quick before we move on, is one thing about Brightspace that I really like is that, you know, speaking from an online perspective, is humanizing your course. So Patricia, if you go real quick to the announcement, they make it very easy for the instructor to add your voice to anything, right? So like Tammy mentioned, giving feedback. And if you want to humanize your course, especially if you have a lot of international students where English is not their first language, and maybe sometimes having you say something with captions, because Brightspace will caption your recording. And so if, for example, Patricia, if you create a new announcement, we can show them how Brightspace really allows you, anywhere there's an input or a place for you to actually add text, you can actually click the record button and make an announcement with just a voice recording. And I don't think that was in Blackboard. I don't think we ever had that feature. Here, do you want me to share? Oh, because you're in as a student right now, Patricia. So remember, same as Blackboard.
Exactly so.
Right. So that remember, I used to do the same thing in Blackboard.
Okay. All right. It still do that. Okay. But now I have new announcement. Okay. New announcement. I was going to say something about that before when Todd was just saying that. Anyhow, go ahead, Jose.
At the bottom, if you can, you put a headline. You say, "Hey, hello, everyone." But at the bottom, you can see record audio or record video. You know, so everywhere along Brightspace.
Oh, I know what I was going to say, because I teach voice and articulation, and I've taught ESL as well, and so I have a lot of international students, and many of the international students are better with the grammar than the native speakers are, than we native speakers are. They have learned it. They've had to. It's another language for them. But the fact that you can have it as an audio or a video, and also they can actually see the too, is a double confirmation and helpful. However, it could be also confusing too. It could be just simple text, as Todd was saying. Might be, you know, keep it KISS, you know, keep it simple, silly.
Silly.
Simple, silly. We're at almost at the 2 o'clock mark. If anybody has questions about Brightspace for Tammy or for Patricia or for myself, please, this is the time. Or if you want, I will
I
stay.
just want you to finish out this business. If you say remove the announcement as of a certain date, it removes it from the students, but it'll still be in your store of announcements, so that if you want
That's
to
nice.
use parts of that, again, you can, you know?
Right. That's
Great point.
That's a good point.
Jose, it seems like the Rubik's Cube might be redundant because the courses are all pictured on the left side. Is that right?
You said the Rubik cube?
Yeah, the Rubik's Cube on the upper right may be redundant to select courses.
Oh, the course selector. Yes, I like that Rubik's cube. I think we're gonna have to coin it. Well, the Rubik's cube. I love it, Stan.
Oh, I'm
Um,
sorry. That's what
uh,
Google Drive.
but yes, again, but also to Patricia's point, sometimes it's also good to be redundant in some places and for students, right? But you're right, because if you pin your courses as a student on the bottom on the landing page, you do have all your courses there. You're right, Stan. And then you can either see it visually here at the visual table of contents, but then yes, you're right. You can also go back up to the Rubik's Cube or the course selector tool, and then you'll see all your courses there too. That is redundant.
If I may
There
just,
is a point of view. Yeah,
So,
I mean,
someone asked about if you could go from course to course. Yes, you can. And here's a selector. So here were the different courses that I was teaching at the same time. So I could go
nice.
directly into the next one as well.
Right.
if I may confirm something about email, we go to the specific course and then we go to the class list, and then we have a choice to email everybody, but we need to select everybody individually, not deselect them as we used to do in Blackboard.
There is a way, Stan, Patricia, if you go to the class list, let me see, maybe I can show, let me see. I'll share this one,
Did I
Patricia.
stop
Let me
sharing or?
That's
stop
okay.
sharing?
That's okay.
Oh,
No,
okay.
you can continue sharing. I just want to
Okay.
show what Stan
Thanks,
is talking
Tammy.
about.
I'm not going. I'm just saying thank you to everybody
Oh,
leaving.
okay.
Sorry, that was confusing.
The
Okay,
big question is it linked to their FIT email when we send a message through Brightspace?
I'm sure that's the case, right, Tammy? It should be.
Yes,
it should be linked.
that is the
It would be
plan.
linked.
It will be linked to FIT email. And, you know, we have to just explore how it's going to work in terms of triggering automatic emails, if you post an announcement, that type of thing. But it will be Gmail integrated.
Right. This is what Stan is referring to. So I went to the class list, and here you see the roster. But with Stan, it's a good point, right? Because now I can filter. Let's say I only want to go to students. Everything by default, you're right, Stan, is deselected, right? So then from here, I don't see a select all button. You would have to maybe, oh, there it is, right here. So you have to click on the first little box to then select. It doesn't say select all, but I kind of figured that this would be select all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is a caption all at the top. I don't know if that has any, if that's an active link at the top.
Well, here.
Yeah.
So this will
Yeah,
include everyone. This would be students and teachers, and so this is all of the above, right? So this is how you would filter, right? You can filter by instructor, or there's multiple instructors or students. So right. So, but again, take it with a grain of salt, because it might things might look different.
That's what I was saying to you, is that the tabs on the top here, you are going to be able to tailor, and
Right.
I like that you have followed Blackboards so that it's easier for us to maneuver those instead of guessing, well, what's under achievement or what's under tools or that kind of thing. Well, of course, tools is obvious, but under achievement or any of the categories that were in this instance that I was showing.
Right. Again, to Tammy's point, that's what the committee and will, I guess, decide, and having input from faculty. This is then
For sure.
Right, how that would look, because as we saw Patricia's course, it was much less, right? There was a lot less, and I think Patricia,
Yeah.
your course, had drop downs where like some of these items were under
Yes.
one.
Yes. Do you
Right.
want me to show that or?
Sure, sure. If you want to share, yeah, you can.
Okay. I think I'm still sharing, or did you bump me out and I have to share again?
There you go. But I'm just going to go into the
Okay,
there.
here you go. So under content or activities or achievement. Okay, so if you go to achievement, it
Right.
has awards, checklists, class progress, grades, and a quick evaluation. Activities, they put assignments, discussions, and quizzes. Content is content. And then it takes you into the actual places. And that's what Jose was talking about, the table of contents. So
Right.
I couldn't go back, and I can go back to the course home anytime. And here we go with the tools. Under tools, they put a lot of different things. They have this quickly attendance, and that was nicer as well. That you could. They also had a check-in, so I would just give them a coded number, and then everybody in the room would just use their own smartphone. I like to use to really get to know my people. So even as they're doing that, I'll say, well, I'm just going to do this as a double duty, but mostly so that I can get to know your face and your name and your name and your face. But it was very helpful. And then, of course,
that is really good to know. Thanks, Patricia, because we have Quickly here, and we have Quickly attendance also. And I was under the impression, I was under the impression that we would not need it in Brightspace, but it looks like there's a reason Pace implemented it. So I wonder what Brightspace's standalone solution is. I'll be hearing more about that.
Yeah. So anyhow, again, here's that class list. That's where it is. It's under tools. So I don't think I should show that because it's private information, I guess. But yeah. Okay.
But,
and then videos. They were using these two kinds of sources, but we've also got Screencast-O-Matic and things like that I spent the whole summer learning. And so that's where obviously some of these videos, these video tools will be, and then the help.
Tammy, one question that was in the chat room, and I think maybe before we close, what some of the tools that we carry over from Blackboard, like VoiceThread, Padlet, items.
Everything now. We had to give SUNY a huge spreadsheet of all of our LTI integrations, everything we're integrated with. So I gave them the full list. Anything we have in Blackboard, we can expect to have in Brightspace, unless there's a solution that's better. So an example would be we're not going to have Collaborate in Brightspace, but we will have some video tool. I'm actually on the video tools committee, and that will be video conferencing, I should say. There's a lot to look at there because there's some great solutions like Zoom and WebEx have overlays that make them more conducive in the education environment. So there's a lot to be explored there.
Well, this past 2 years, and I'm surely not the only one, I've had to learn 4 of those conference tools. Zoom, Collaborate Ultra, Google Meet, and WebEx, and they're all subtly different. Like with Zoom, it will automatically, if you click it, automatically allow you to record, or it will record. But with WebEx, you have to actually physically do it. And so I'm always constantly saying with my students, remind me to record, so I don't care if you tell me how many times, But so in other words, we may also entertain Zoom.
I should not say anything on the record about that, but it is one of the ones I'm looking at with SUNY, and the committee is going to have a recommendation for which product works best within Brightspace, because there is a built-in video conferencing tool in Brightspace called Virtual Classrooms. I was advised, I had a separate meeting with Brightspace engineers, and they said they don't recommend Virtual Classroom, that we should probably pick a different one. So the choices are Google, that of course has great integration, WebEx, Microsoft Teams, which I think the college would not want to adopt since that's a big Microsoft license. and Zoom would be the final one. And Zoom and WebEx both have overlays to them that make it work better in the education environment. So we're going to be testing those. And then Google has pretty significant integrations there too. So we just have to figure out what is the recommended solution.
Will we only have one, or will we have a choice of things? Because
Well,
with
yeah.
Google Meet, for some reason, my oral goes out, and so then if I've asked people for virtual office visits and they can't hear me, then I write in the chat, okay, then I'm going to make a link in
Sure.
WebEx,
Sure.
and then they go over to there. So at least it's a backup for a backup.
That's right. I think you will always have access to WebEx and Google because the school already has those. If we
Okay.
add one, you know, I think it'll be up to the faculty advisory group and also to the SUNY committee. But if there's one that's recommended, we'll put that one with the fullest integration and promote that one the heaviest. But you will always be able to use Google Meet or WebEx on your own and put a link in there.
Lauren, did that answer your question, Lauren?
No, actually, mine was more associated with whether or not things that exist in current courses come over just as they exist, or is that something we'll be discussing next Friday on the 8th?
That should come over.
Yeah, those links should come over because just how Patricia.
When I migrated from Blackboard to Brightspace, there are things that you have to finagle and change, but the bulk of it did, so I can't see why going.
Yeah, no, because I know right now for Padlet, it's you always have to redo the links. That I knew from one course to the other. When you do that, I was aware of, but I just was concerned of all the presentation videos that are sitting that were been done for my course and making sure that they would be fully accessible.
Right. With videos, if those videos were saved in YouTube, Lauren, you shouldn't have any problems. Those links will carry over, as well as Screencast-O-Matic. If you already have them on Screencast-O-Matic, the migration there wouldn't be any problems with the videos because they're hosted in our Screencast-O-Matic instance. So you shouldn't have any issues with that.
Okay.
Jose, I do have a question about archiving our courses on Blackboard. It's quite simple. We go to the course and then go to Package and Utilities and then Archive. There are two choices there. One is to archive or export. So we just simply archive. And the question, does the course have to be available? Do we have to click the course available?
No. Once you click on when you go, exactly like you said, Stan, if you go to Packages and Utilities, then you click on the Archive button. Make sure you only click it one time, and it will take about a minute or two. Oh, and also, by the way, Stan, make sure you click on this little box that's unchecked that includes the gray book. If that's something that you want to carry over and archive, make sure that you check that little box so that if you do want to bring the grade over, the grade book structure.
Yeah.
Once Blackboard then sends you that email letting you know, hey, your course has been archived, then you can come back and then you're going to have a blue link with the date, the timestamp. You click on that link and it will download the zip file to your computer. That zip file.
Yes.
Don't open it. Don't open it.
Right. Don't open it because you're right, Patricia. It's going to be a big mess.
Which I did.
Do we need to save all those zip files? Is that in fact the archive comes back to us?
That is the backup of your course. Everything inside that zip file includes all your content in the course.
So we need to save all of those archive zip files. How big are they? They're very big.
Depending on your course and how big your course is, but again, there are many ways to save archive files. You can always put them on Google Drive, or you can put them on a thumb drive, or if it's taking too much space on your laptop and you don't want it to live there, you can always put them on your Google Drive, and they can live there. And then you can organize it, nicely with folders and say, oh, these are my spring 22s.
Sure.
Here are my, fall 21s.
Sure.
But it's good practice. It's good practice. Not only archiving is good practice, but naming the file once you've downloaded that zip file, giving it a name that makes sense to you. Saying, well, this is EN271 fall 22.
Always. Most important part of every job organization.
Exactly. Or else you're never going to know which course, because it has a random name. It gives it, some. But that's a good point, Stan.
I wonder if next time you'll be covering loading assignments as folders. When I load an assignment on Blackboard, you'll do that next time?
We'll do that, even though we did do it at the first one, but we went over, and I didn't want this to be overwhelming. And so we'll do that in the next one, and then we'll take our time in creating a Dropbox assignment, adding a PDF, embedding a YouTube video, adding a discussion. We're not going to go into the gradebook because, again, we're just going to cover those main building blocks for now, because I think that'll be too soon, right, Tammy? We should wait on those items and keep it very simple.
Yeah, I would, just because we want to make sure we're telling you the correct information when we roll it out.
Right.
Thank you both, Tammy and Jose. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Stan. We're walking gingerly, we're walking, nice at a good pace. We don't want to run. We're like Tammy said, we're cohort 3.
Right.
So we'll learn from we'll learn from the first cohort.
That's right.
I'm sure there's a lot, right, Tammy?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, this is really just a sneak preview. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Right.
All my best.
Thank
we have
you.
the best trainers. You guys are the best trainers. It just
Definitely.
you brought us through COVID. We kept going and going and going. Thanks to you.
That's very nice. Thank
We'll,
you.
We'll see you next time. Thank you both.
Take care, Stan. I love that plane. We're gonna have to talk later.
Yes.
I'm not sure I should have. That's actually a working model. I've just gone into the construction phase of it, and eventually I'm going to contact a particular company who has a wind tunnel, and we can see the lift that we have on it. So that is it's an actual model.
That's
It's
so
amazing.
neat.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you for noticing. Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you for sharing that with us. I thought that was amazing. I've always been a big fan of paper, making my own paper planes. I actually had a book on making paper planes.
Yeah. We love to share the work we do. We all do. We all love to do that.
Definitely. And thank you, Patricia, too, for sharing your course. I think that helps, seeing an actual course that's, running on Brightspace. So thank you for sharing that with us. And we'll learn from each other as we go forward. That's the best way to learn, right? We all learn from each other.
Definitely.
So, all right. I'm going to head out. And I'll
Thank
stop the
you.
recording.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Jose.
My pleasure.
Thank you for attending.
Thank you. Thank you.